The first thing I want to show you is how to update the history timeline on your website. And this is done with a little bit of custom code, but it definitely is something that can be edited. So once you are at squarespace.com and you log in, you're going to see your square for your website. You're not going to see all these other ones. You're just going to click on your square. And this is going to take you to your main menu, which we've already covered. So we're going to click on Pages. I've got my mouse here huge so that you can see where I'm pointing on the screen. And we're just going to go to the Home index here, just as our starting point. So we're at the Home, and we know that our timeline appears on our History page. So we're going to click on Our History to open that particular page. And you can see it pops it here into our right window. We're going to get our pop-up edit bar. So we're going to click on edit. And now we're in edit mode on our screen. And we know from previous videos that we can just click in most of the boxes. We can just click, we can edit the text that we want to edit. However, the timeline is done with a little bit differently with some custom coding just to make it more visually appealing to your audience. So when we hover over the timeline, we get this little pop-up box that says code, and we're going to click on edit. And don't be alarmed. You can move this box around and you can actually, we might not be able to make it bigger. I thought I could make it bigger here, but don't be alarmed. It looks like jargon, and I know that. But if you look carefully, you'll be able to see the parts that you can edit. So we know here that this has a date of 1937. We see our headline here, the Housing Act of 1937, and then our text. So if we wanted to edit any of that, we would just find that text here in the code box. So each item starts right here with the timeline item, sort of the entry point, and then you see that you have the let's see, we have our H2, which is our headline, so Housing Act of 1937. So if I wanted to change that text, I could just click right there and I could edit just that easily. And you can see the changes being made there on the left. Likewise, we have the X date, which is the date that appears in the blue bar, and that can be changed. And then with the P, we have the actual text of the timeline, and we can just click right in there and type just as we normally would. So that repeats for each of the timeline items, and you can see here is the end of that item, and then we have that new tag for timeline item starting the next box. And again, we can just go down through the list. You see these P's here? That means a hard return after that, which kind of gives you that list effect. If you want to add a new timeline item, that is not all that difficult. You do just have to be careful. If you wanted to add a new item, basically you would put your cursor here at the beginning of the timeline item, and you would highlight all the way down until you get down to this end of timeline item. You would do a Control-C on your keyboard, or Copy-C if you're on a Windows computer, and then a paste. And then you would paste that wherever you wanted that to appear. So if it was something later, you would just paste it right here after this text. If it was earlier, you would just go back up to where you wanted to start that. So if you wanted it here, you would click here, do a return, and then just paste it right there. And then you can just change the text. So you can do that as many times as you want. And that is all there is to changing the timeline. I'm not going to save any of that, but this is just a more visual way to represent this information for you.